Hello, Inarashinhos. Welcome to another bonus class. We are almost at the end of our bonus classes, and I hope you understand because it's been a long course, but you deserve it. First of all, I want you to imagine a picture. The interview is almost over. You are tired, and you are exhausted. But then the recruiter asks, "So, do you have any questions for us?" Bah. Your brain says, "Say no. Let's finish this. I just want to be hired." But then you say, "No, I think you covered everything. Thanks." Bah. That's wrong. I know it sounds crazy, but you should ask. Okay? It's important. It shows that you care. It shows that you are interested. So, that is where you begin with your reverse interview. The reverse interview is where you ask questions to the interviewers. It shows interest. It shows that you researched the company. It shows intelligence. So you are analyzing the interview as much as they are. It creates conversation. It becomes like a dialogue, and less like interrogation. The killer questions are the following. I have some tips for you. So, the vision, okay? This vision question shows strategy. So, for example, what are the company's biggest goals for this year, and how does this team contribute to them? So basically, you are asking about your role and about how your role in the team, how your role as an employee is going to help to achieve this goal, the goals in general. The reality question, it shows focus. Can you describe a typical day or week in this role? What are the main tasks? So basically, what this question does is to um, show that you are interested, shows that you want to know if the culture of that company, the the day-to-day situation of your job is aligned with your expectations. So it's good. The company likes when you ask about the typical day. The success question, it shows ambition. This is the best one, okay? So pay attention. What does success look like in this role? Hmm? If I started today, what would you expect me to achieve in the first 90 days? So basically, the company really likes to know the first 90 days is usually the adaptation process, especially here for us. For them, it depends, but um, even though you don't know and you ask this question, it's important for them that you ask this question, actually. That's what I was supposed to say. It's important to them that you ask this question because it shows that you are willing to do the job, but what are their expectations on your achievements? So, for example, um, what would you expect me to do in the following days to align with your expectations and succeed? So, this is a very good question. This is a very nice question, okay? Because, you know, it makes me it makes you look like a top performer. So you want to know how they measure their success. Okay, so this is very important. It's amazing because it forces them to visualize you in the job, and it shows that you are focused on the results, okay? So this is very important. Now, the culture question, okay, and the next steps question. So basically, you have the culture question, which is more like the vibe of the team. So you spend 8 hours a day with these people. You need to know if the environment is toxic. So the question is like, how would you describe the company culture and the team dynamic, or something like that? So you have to listen carefully to the answer, because if they hesitate, that's a red flag for you. Because I know you really need a job, but you don't need to spend 8 hours at a company that it's toxic unless you really need this job, like immediately. If it's immediate, then probably this question won't change anything for you. But, and also they could lie, but that is something that you always have to ask. It's important. And then, um, and then you have the next step question, which is like to show organization. Okay, what are the next steps in the interview process? When can I expect to hear from you? So, um, where are we going with this interview? Are we well? Are we not well? How we doing? Now we have questions to avoid, which is like the red flag of the interview. You do not ask this in the first interview. For example, how many vacation days do I get? This is too early. You are not even hired. You didn't even work there enough to have possible vacation days. So hold on. And what does your company do? Google it. You need to be prepared for the interview. You need to be prepared. You need to know about the company. That's the bare minimum. That's what they think. Okay? So you need to prepare. Example: did I get the job? Did I get the job? Are you serious? You should never ask if you got the job. Because, okay, you see that in movies, but in movies, like, movies are not the real life, okay? Movies are not real life. So you need to remember, they will take some time to answer you. Sometimes it's like a day or two, sometimes it's like a week, because they have other interviews, they have paper to process, they have their jobs, which sometimes are not only, sometimes their job is not only to interview. They have other things to do, especially if they are HR, yes? So human resources, they work with a lot of things. I almost said a cursing word. Sorry. My bad. So did I get the job? It's not a good question. It's a little bit too aggressive. And no, I have no questions is the worst ever possible, the worst answer possible ever, like any in the history of the world. You always need to have questions, even if it's the dumbest question. I know I just said that you should be smart, but sometimes you don't have smart questions in your, like, on the top of your head. So just ask anything. Like, um, how's the culture of the company? What's the vibe here? I don't know, anything. But do not stay silent or do not say no. Now let's do some vocabulary check. This is very important for you when you are doing this part of the interview. We have term and we have definition, so I will read both with you. The first term is deliverables. Deliverables are specific results or projects you need to complete in your workday. So a report, a design, a code, etc. KPIs, which is like key performance indicators. KPIs are basically the numbers you use to measure if you are doing a good job or a bad, terrible job. So sales increased by 10%. You are doing a good job. Okay? So this is an example. Onboarding is like often asked to me, like, what is onboarding? Onboarding is the process of integrating a new employee into the company. So like training, meeting the team, meeting the culture, get-togethers, and etc. So it's like the onboarding. We call this in Brazil tempo de experiência usually, but it's smaller. Onboarding is much smaller. It's like 2 weeks max, something like that, 1 month, I guess. So here we have a much bigger experience. Cross functional is when you're working with different teams at the same time. So if you can be cross functional, that's a plus one, like a plus to the company. So marketing working with sales, for example. Team dynamics, it's pretty simple, pretty on the name. How the team interacts and communicates and works together. Prospects are the potential future opportunities or clients. So, growth prospect example. Okay? This is very important. Now we have some scripts. I have three here, four. Four? No, five scripts prepared for you. So, pay attention. Script number one, the role, clarifying expectations. Use this to understand what you will actually do every day. I understand the main responsibilities for the job description, but could you describe what a typical day or week looks like in this role? For example, how much time is spent on strategy versus execution? So, this is a good question. A good example of question. Of course, you could say the short version, just the question. This is just a more elaborate version of the question. Category two is the success, the killer question. Use this to show you're ambitious and results oriented. Example, I want to make sure I hit the ground running. If I'm hired, most important part now, what are the most important things you would like me to achieve in my first 90 days? What does success look like for this position? This is a very nice question. Now let's check the vibe of the company. So, to see if you'll be happy there. I really value collaborative environment. How would you describe the company culture and the team dynamic? What's your favorite part about working here? So it's good to know their opinion. You show interest, you know. The challenge. So use this when you want to solve problems. What is the biggest challenge the team is currently facing, and how do you see this new role helping to solve it? So it's a very good question as well. And the last question is the closing question. Next steps. Always ask this at every end. At the very end, sorry. So, for example, thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed our conversation. What are the next steps in the interview process? And when can I expect to hear from you? So, if you have this, you will be hired. Okay? Trust me. Trust me. You will be hired. Okay? Let's not forget this is only one part of the interview. The interview is pretty much like a lot of things together. So, the beginning of the interview, as I told you back in like videos ago, the middle of the interview, which is maintaining the conversation, and now the ending of the interview, which is like questions to ask. Okay? Next class, we are going to talk about very good topics, but more like summarizing everything. I will also gather some questions that some students have sent to me. So we'll talk about some very special things. I hope you have a nice night, and I hope you like this video. I will see you next Thursday because we have Carnival. I don't know why did I say that, because maybe you are not seeing this on Carnival, but I will see you next Thursday. And see you next lesson.